Welcome to today's press briefing. We have on the stage two doctors with us, Dr. Zhang Shukwan, Head of Communicable Disease Branch, Center for Health Protection, and Dr. Lau Ka-hin, Chief Manager of Hospital Authority. Dr. Zhang will brief you on today's cases. As of last night, 5 cases were recorded. Case numbers 13031 to 13035. 4 of them carry the N501Y and T478K variant strain. The other one's result is pending. 2 of these cases are related to other imported cases. The other 3 are imported cases. For those with linkage with other cases, the first one is 13031. That is the security guard who works at Penny's Bay Quarantine Center. She is a close contact of another case, 13024, and she becomes a confirmed case in Penny's Bay Quarantine Center. She lives in Bohemia Garden. The other case is 13033. He is a family member of case 12985. He lives in Maple Garden Phase 3, and he is the downstairs resident. He was sent to the quarantine center, and then he had a fever on the 13th of January. He was sent to the quarantine center on the 8th of January. And he didn't go about town much. Not much contact tracing work is therefore needed. And about the whole sequencing, whole genome sequencing result of Maple Garden, 13033, 13031, and 12985's WGS results are identical, which means that there is vertical transmission. There are about 10 preliminary positive cases, one of which is a family member of somebody who got sent to the quarantine center on the 3rd of January. There was a negative result on the 5th of January. The family member of 12860, and because of coughing, the case has been sent to the hospital and has been found to be positive. Because this case has been isolated for some time, during the infectious period, there isn't much contact. He lives in Phase 3 of City Garden. The other is a 41-year-old female who is a cleaner who lives in Wang Xin House, Changwan Estate in Qingyi. She lives with her family member. She has had 2 Sinovac jabs, and she works on a cargo flight. For both test results on the 8th and the 11th of January, they are negative, and then her result became positive with a CT value of about 20. She is a cleaner on board a cargo flight. Near the head of the flight, with aircrew members present. And if the aircrew members remain on the flight, she would not clean the cockpit, but she would clean the galley, the toilets, and the rows of seats. And every now and then, the pilots would need to go down to the bottom of the flight for some duties. There is a previous case, another cleaner who also works in the flight compartment, and there is no duplication of their presence, and they haven't met each other recently. We are still performing contact tracing for this case. Apart from going to work on her days off, she didn't have a lot of activities except for grocery shopping. And she would usually take a transport to work, and basically her activities until going to work. Sometimes she's on A shift, that's the morning shift, and sometimes her shifts will last till late in the evening. And some premises where she visited will be included in the compulsory testing notice. We'll continue to perform whole genome sequencing of this case to see if there is any link with other known cases. For cargo flight crew members, some of them may not touch the ground of Hong Kong, and therefore we may not be aware of any confirmed case. There's another case. We talked about how many customers were able to trace for the Nabe Yuwara restaurant. So far, 35 customers have been found, and we are trying to trace some other customers at the moment. Yesterday, we talked about another case of suspected contamination by a vaccine jab, and some environmental samples were collected from the clinic. Some of these samples tested positive, including the samples taken on some bags, the keyboard and mouse and chair of the doctor's desk. Well, this is the residue of the vaccine, not highly infectious, and we have urged the clinic to cleanse and disinfect the clinic thoroughly, and we've reminded the clinic to use the bleach at the appropriate ratio, that is 1:99, in order to cleanse the place thoroughly. Dr. Lau will brief you on HA's condition. As of 9 a.m. this morning, over the past 24 hours, the HA recorded 19 reportable cases. In the past 24 hours, 27 patients have recovered and been discharged from hospital. So far, 12,366 patients have been discharged upon recovery. As of 9 a.m. this morning, we have 410 patients receiving treatment at the North Lantau Hospital Hong Kong Infection Control Center and the HA's Infection Control Center, Asia World Expo's Community Treatment Center, and public hospitals. All 410 patients are in stable condition. There is also another piece of information about the choice of vaccine offered by general outpatient clinics, or GOPCs. In order to support the government's COVID-19 vaccination program, and in light of the demand at present, more vaccine choices will be made available at the GOPCs to make it convenient for the public. Earlier, we also announced that there will be 22 additional GOPCs offering Sinovac jabs. We've decided that 11 of them will now offer BioNTech jabs instead. As more time is needed for manpower deployment and for the service rollout, BioNTech jabs will become available starting from the 25th of January, and members of the public will be able to make bookings online starting the 22nd of January. Another Jockey Club clinic in Tai Po will also join the list and provide Sinovac jabs. Because of service need, the service rollout will begin on the 27th of January, whereas for the remaining GOPCs, they will start providing vaccination service on the 21st of January. Together with the Tai Po Jockey Club GOPC, 14 clinics will now offer Sinovac jabs. For the additional GOPCs offering Sinovac jabs, online booking will be available starting the 18th of January.
So please, before you ask a question, introduce yourself, which media outlet you are from. This gentleman here. From Paul News. All the frontline staff, are they going to give in more precautionary measures so as to minimize the risk of infection? And also, the Pakistani case yesterday, the part-time food delivery man If he had been in contact with customers, would those customers be required to be sent to quarantine? As far as I know, you're talking about the cargo plane cleaner. Well, as far as I know, well, they are not actually given less protective gear, because just relying on protective clothing alone is not enough. They need to actually have training in anti-infection, and they also need to be cautious. And so, of course, we can further strengthen, the awareness of infection control. And the positive case yesterday, we traced about 30 customers because the period of contact was very small, so it wouldn't be classified as close contacts. But we reminded them to go for testing. Lady at the back. From now, I'd like to ask about the food panda delivery man. I want to know, you said that he could be actually a case of actual relapse, but is it a new case at all or not? And also for the plane cleaner, you said that she mainly went for grocery shopping and go to work. Which markets did she frequent in, and which districts was she more active in? Where did she usually go? And also in Tuen Mun, earlier on, the Dr. Zhang, who actually treated the family members of the dispensary, have other doctors or healthcare workers been found to be infected. And also for the quarantine center, there are some people there who complain about being released beyond the time when they should be released. So why is that happening? If the people are not discharged on time and they couldn't call the hotline, where can they seek help? Because some cases have told us that they actually tried to approach the Department of Health, and the Department of Health asked them to contact the personnel on site. So who should be responsible? For the food panda case, so far, yesterday and today's samples were negative. So we will hope to collect one more sample, and if it's negative tomorrow as well, then looking at the whole situation, there could be a large chance that he is a case of having a relapse, some sort of relapse, and not really a new confirmed case. And as for Dr. Zhang Xi-Man, her clinic itself, whether it's the genome sequencing, in relation to the case, whether it's caused by the vaccine itself, and the samples collected at her clinic show that seems like it's more likely she tested positive because of contamination by the vaccine itself of the place. As far as I know, for the quarantine center, the workers are busy doing their work, so I hope that you can give them some time, including those from the Civil Aid Service. I hope that the public will show some understanding. A woman in gray in the third row. Dr. Zhang, please introduce yourself. I'm a reporter from independent media. I'd like to know the Women Home's birthday parties, number of people actually involved. Is there any update in the number? And also, do you think that is there any update on the cases at the Urawa Hotpot restaurant, and also for the Bohemia Garden? Any more details about the cases there? On the 10th, she was off. On the 11th, the sample was negative, but she was off on 10, and the positive on the 14th was positive. On the 10th, she went to Qingyi Chongheng Estates McDonald by herself, and then she went to the market in Chongheng. So mainly she went to the ground floor, and then she went home. That's her activity. Other times, she took E21 or E32 bus home to get home. So mainly she spent the bulk of the time at work. And also the question about the birthday party. We haven't got any new figures in the new updated figure, so the same number as cited yesterday. We haven't got any preliminary positive cases in relation to the Nabi Urawa hot pot restaurant. For the Bohemia Garden case, we only got one positive case in relation to Bohemia Garden. Second row, this one in black. I'm from Hong Kong 01. Well, now that you've got one more cleaner working aboard a cargo plane who's infected, how about protective clothing for cabin crew? What do you know about them? And any particular type of cargo planes or the flight number which is particularly vulnerable, you think? And 20th, 12th, 13, and 14, how did she come into contact with the virus and what did she do on board the plane? And also the situation in the Penny's Bay Quarantine Center. There are 2 security guards who were infected. Do you know that the people who work there, even though there are a large number of people in quarantine there, but how about the protective gear for the workers there? Are the measures adequate? Is there a high chance that an infection could happen again at the Penny's Bay Quarantine Center? We are trying to find out more about the plane numbers and how many people were on board a plane each time. For the workers, the cleaners, every day they would work on 8 flights. She mainly work on cargo planes. So we need to find out which flights they worked on, where were those flights from. Each time there are 5 to 7 cleaners taking turn to go onto the plane for cleanup. For details, we need to find out more first. And for the security guards infected at Penny's Bay, they had lunch together. So we think that there's a high chance that actually they were infected because of the lunch date. But we are still finding out more about the situation at the center. They were actually in full protective gear. For example, for the cargo plane cleaner today, she wore the head cover, the gloves, face shields, protective clothing. She wore the full set of protective clothing. Next one, please. At the back, please. Person in white. From TVB. I want to know about the cleaner concerned. Just then you said that when she's on board the plane, if the cabin crew remain on the flight, then they would not go to do the cleanup. So what's the chance of the contact with air crew members then? And are you suspecting that they got infected through contact with cabin crew, or did they get infected because there is environmental contamination caused by the aircrew members, or were they infected in the community? Which do you think is more likely? And also I heard just now that her activities involve actually going home on board particular buses on particular routes. Do you need to trace the passengers on board the same buses? Because this could be airport-bound bus routes, so people might be on the bus for quite a long time. So would the passengers on the same bus be vulnerable? And also you said that each time when they do the cleaning work on board the cargo plane, there'll be 5 to 7 colleagues taking turn to do the cleanup. So would those colleagues be required to be quarantined? And you said that she also worked mainly on cargo planes. Has she been working on passenger plane, or did she just work on cargo planes alone?
As far as I know, and this is only a preliminary understanding because we need to inquire for further details and then check the information against what we know. I know that she works in the cargo flight, but we need to check further whether she might have worked on a passenger flight as well. According to her, in the cockpit, there is equipment, and if there is flight crew personnel in the cockpit, she would not approach it. She would just clean the galley and the toilet, but if nobody was there, she would clean the cockpit as well. What you said could be possible. Would it be possible that she got infected from the pilots, because the pilots are not required to undergo quarantine? We therefore can't find out for sure, and there is a chance that she might have got infected via the environment. I think that it is less likely for her to get infected in the environment, in the community. But after all, she works as a high-risk group. She is required to conduct testing on a regular basis. So she might have been infected at work. She is a regular on board those buses, and therefore we may need other passengers to get tested on a compulsory basis as well. About her work, a team of 5 to 7 would sit in a van and wait, and when work is available, the team would get on board, and the whole team may therefore stay in the same place for a longer period of time, and the team members would therefore need to go to quarantine as well. The next question.
So the first question is, could you confirm whether the transmission from an infected quarantine person to a staff at Penny's Bay is the first such case in the center? And also, given there are more aircraft cleaner test positive within a short period of time, is there any need to further review protective gears or infection control measures of aircraft cleaners? Thank you.
As far as I remember, I think this is the first instance of transmission in the Penny Bay Quarantine Center, especially in recent months. For the aircraft cleaners, I think we need to step up the infection control training for them to make sure they gang and degang the PPE in proper procedures.
Next question. This one in a white jacket. I'm from Ming Pao. I have a question about the flight cleaner. For the specified group personnel, they are required to get tested once every 2 days. This case seems to be exempted. Does it mean that this cleaner works on a flight coming from mainland? And may I know which city? May I know for which carrier she works? And there are also 2 security guards at Penny's Bay Quarantine Center who have become infected, and previously they had activities in the community as well. Are there measures to minimize the risk of spreading the virus in the community? And some experts have commented that for high-risk groups, they should be wearing N95 or higher-level masks. Would you require these personnel to step up testing on a more frequent basis? And would the HA procure masks for their staff, which are of a high level of protection? About the Food Panda courier, yesterday it was said that this case got vaccinated as well, but there was no information as such. Could you confirm that? 35 of 44 patrons at Nabe Urawa restaurant have been found. What about the remaining ones? Why aren't they traced? For the cargo flight cleaner, in theory, she should be subject to testing once every 2 days. I see that the test results dated the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, and then the 8th, 11th, and 14th, and I need to get a better understanding why the test results in recent days are not as frequent as before. Yes, there is an infection risk, and about whether the PPEs should be stepped up, I think this is, I will leave the matter with the experts in infection control. For the 44 customers in Nabe Urawa, there are 2 tables with infected customers. I also asked my colleague how many other customers are involved? That's 37, and so far 35 have been identified. For some other customers, they use cash. Our staff look after preliminary positive cases, and some staff are required to perform high-risk procedures, and as such, they would done the full PPEs, including gloves, face shield, N95 mask. And our experts recently convened a meeting based on the latest information, including the route of transmission and the latest studies. And we've reminded colleagues working in high-risk areas, including the A&E department, triage stations, and observation wards, that they should use N95 masks, and they should wear a face shield if the procedure involves a checkup of the mouth. And we, on a regular basis, review the equipment available, and once latest information is available, our experts would review the situation and issue new guidelines if necessary. The speaker is not coming through. According to my information, he received a casino jab in Pakistan. Usually, what we do is to retrieve the vaccination records to verify this information. So that accounts for the information mismatch. Next question. This one in the third row. Good afternoon. I'm from Oriental Daily. My first question is about Nabe Urawa. At the moment, how many customers have not been identified? What are the difficulties? Is it because they used cash? And about the close contact of 12860 who is preliminary positive, what is this case, gender and age? And now can we exclude the possibility of an outbreak at JP Partners Medical or in Tuen Mun? Another question is, do you have the flight number of the cargo flight, and what cargo did the flight carry? And did any crew member become a confirmed case as well? It seems that at the moment we do not have any untraceable cases. Does it mean that the epidemic is coming down? According to experts, that Omicron virus is likely to be transmitted via air, and an expert commented that in a restaurant perhaps the plastic partitions obstruct airflow and that they should be removed. For Nabe Urawa restaurant, I need to verify with my colleague why some customers have not yet been identified. I learned at the outset that some customers use cash, and if they did not contact us, it's quite hard to trace them down. The family member of 12860 is a 74-year-old male. He is a preliminary positive case. For the cargo flight crew, if they entered and went through clearance, we would find out if they are a confirmed case or not. Otherwise, if they didn't actually land in our territory, they are exempted persons, and we are therefore unable to verify whether they are confirmed cases. For further comments on restaurants operation, well, I think that there are different opinions offered by experts, and I will leave the matter in the good hands of experts. Next question, I'm from Cable. About the cargo flight cleaner, there are different possibilities of transmission. Is she an untraceable case, and can you tell me the name of the building where she lives again? Is it Wang Xin House or not? And there are suggestions that the regular testing regime should be tightened to daily testing. Are there other measures to step up infection control. About the experts' comment that plastic partitions between tables should be removed and that the tables should be set further apart. What is your view? Do you think that this will be more effective than the current measures?
For the case who lives in Jingyi Changwon as Day One Xin House, that's the address. And for the restaurant issue, I'm not an expert, so I can't comment on it. So that's the end of today's briefing. Thank you for coming.